We are continuing to follow new developments out of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russian meddling in the 2016 election. CBS News has learned that Mueller has asked the Justice Department to hand over documents related to the firing of James Comey. Comey was fired back in May after Attorney General Jeff Sessions and Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein told President Trump that Comey was not able to effectively lead the bureau. Well, the next day, President Trump told the Russian ambassador in the Oval Office that Comey's firing, quote, relieved great pressure on him. So let us bring in Natasha Bertrand. She is a political correspondent for Business Insider, and she joins us now from Washington. Thanks for joining us, Natasha.
Of course. All
right, so we're going to start with getting you to sort of weigh in on the news surrounding a special counsel's request and the request for information about the firing of James Comey. What is the significance of this request, this document request?
Well, this really confirms something that we had suspected all along, which is that Trump himself is under investigation. Special Counsel Robert Mueller is trying to figure out whether or not he had corrupt intent when he fired James Comey. And if he did, then that means that he obstructed justice. The most interesting part about this, in my opinion, is that he has asked for all communications between the White House and the Department of Justice related to Jeff Sessions' recusal from the Russia investigation. As we know, Trump was very, very, very upset at Sessions for recusing himself. He exploded when he found out that Sessions had done that, and he said that he never would have hired him in the first place if he thought that Sessions was going to remove himself from the Russia probe. So in order to further gauge Trump's state of mind when he did fire FBI Director James Comey and when he, kind of exploded at Sessions for recusing himself, he has asked for any communications between the White House and the DOJ, and that's a very significant development.
Okay, so you think his focus is on the president. Do you think Jeff Sessions is also the focus in any way, or he's just sort of part of the narrative?
Jeff Sessions will be useful, again, in determining whether or not, Trump wanted Comey gone for a reason and why he was so angry when Sessions did recuse himself. Was it because he just didn't think it was fair? Or was it because he wanted Sessions to somehow intervene in the Russia probe and make it more difficult for the FBI to reach the White House and to reach Trump's inner circle? Right. So I think that Sessions is definitely a significant player here. Whether or not he's the target of the investigation, that remains to be seen. But I think that he's just right now useful to Mueller's probe of Trump.
So before this latest request for documents, Jared Kushner was asked again to hand over documents that investigators say they never got. Tell us the significance of that. What are they looking for? I know that obviously through their investigation, they've been able to uncover emails and other sort of documents that indicate there's a little bit more that Jared Kushner has to share.
Well, you might forgive Jared Kushner for maybe forgetting to hand over a few emails, but this is not the first time that he has handed over, incomplete documentation, for requests that he's been given by the, intelligence committees or on his security clearance form. He's had to revise that a couple times, including to add more than 100 foreign contacts that he just left off the first time. So this is becoming a pattern for Kushner. And what the Senate Judiciary Committee wants to know now is why he did not hand over emails that reference WikiLeaks, why he didn't hand over emails that reference this Russian backdoor overture and dinner invite, which of course turned out to be pretty significant. You had a Russian senator who was trying to get in touch with the Trump campaign during the election on the sidelines of the NRA convention, and Jared Kushner did pass on that offer according to emails that we have been told about. But the fact that he didn't hand them over is really questionable, and the Judiciary Committee wants to know whether he was trying to hide something or whether he genuinely just forgot to give them over.
Okay, so taking everything into account that we have discussed, Natasha, what are you going to be watching for with this investigation as it continues?
So Mueller is set to interview Hope Hicks, and, this investigation really has begun to take two separate tracks. It's the obstruction aspect and it's the collusion aspect. So I think that right now Mueller is he's really homing in on both. He has, of course, indicted Manafort and Gates, probably in an attempt to get them to flip and tell him everything that they know about what happened during the election in terms of collusion. He's homing in on Michael Flynn, who, of course, is very, very legally vulnerable. And now he's really getting to the bottom of this obstruction angle with interviewing Hope Hicks and, asking the Justice Department to hand over all communications that it had with the White House. So it's really going to be interesting looking to see how he really focuses his probe into 2018. And I would also be watching how Trump, as it gets closer to his inner circle and as it gets closer to himself, how he begins to react, whether he begins to lash out on Twitter, whether he continues to say, well, Putin told me that nothing happened, so I believe him, and whether he really starts to undermine, our institutions like the judiciary. So watching his reaction is definitely going to be very interesting.
Yeah, well, we're always watching that Twitter feed. Natasha Bertrand of Business Insider, thank you so much.